Welcome, my friends, to the now named Werewolf Weekly Show, formerly known as the Werewolf Wednesday Show. I'm changing this so I don't have to specifically do on Wednesdays if I don't want to. I threw my whole schedule out of whack. I haven't done one of these in quite some time, and I figured. So originally, I was going to do next week. I was going to start with the Howling, and I was going to talk about the first movie and the trilogy of novels from author Gary Brandner. But I decided, hey, screw it. I messed up my whole schedule that I had. So I'll just cover the book separately, and then starting next week, I will begin with the very first Howlin' movie from Joe Dante. So honestly, I don't expect a lot of people to tune into this tonight because I'm talking about books. And I got my paperbacks here. Um, this is a book series from author Gary Brandner, um, and there are a series of books that I really enjoy. So I'm going to go through each and every book. When I do cover the first book, I'm going to be a little bit more in detail with the book because I'm going to do some comparisons to the movie and just talk about the little bit of differences here and there. But yeah, and then once I'm done giving all my thoughts on all three novels, if anyone makes any comments, I will get to those comments after I'm done with the main topic at hand. Uh, so let me just get the thing here. So I am starting off with The Howling, the original book from 1977 that was loosely adapted in 1981. So the book ultimately begins um, with a little bit of going deep into the past about this village called Draja. And essentially what happens is there's like these villagers. Uh, they notice that some of their livestock uh, are going missing or something like that. And then a child disappears, and uh, uh, the, the father goes looking for the child, and he never comes back. Uh, the brothers of the mother come, and they all go to they track to Draja, uh, demanding to know uh, who is the werewolf. No one speaks up, and then they slaughter them all. Um, and that's the opening. It just gives you a little bit of history about um, the uh, the old days of this particular pack. So then, getting into like after that, um, there is Karen Karen Beatty and her husband Roy. Um, they're preparing for like an anniversary dinner thing. Their friend Chris Holleran is was going to be coming over, and Roy, who publishes like manuals or something like that, realized that he had to complete one more task, and then he was going to be right back home. And so he leaves, and Karen uh, is really excited for that night because she's going to tell him that she's pregnant, and it's their 1 year wedding anniversary. So Roy leaves, and outside there's a man, like a former convict or something like that, named Max Quist, who is doing, like I think is mowing lawns or something like that. Now, here's a point where the movie and the book differ, it's the fact that um, in the book, okay, Max Quist is not a werewolf, uh, and he has no association with the town that we eventually get into called Drago. Uh, so in the movie, they made they took the character of Max Quist, this vile guy, and they made him a werewolf, and they made him a part of uh, in the movie what they call the colony instead of Drago. And then they made like Marsha his sister, and there's no relation. So uh, this whole beginning with Max Quist, Max uh, is not a major part. He's just sort of like the catalyst, um, and he has nothing to do with anything else really that happens. So Max knocks on the door. He kind of lets himself into Karen and Roy's house, and then he forces himself on her. She tries to plead with him, saying that she's pregnant, saying her husband's going to be right back home. And Max is a very vile guy. He actually he punches her right in the stomach, which eventually I'll talk about that in a second. And he does the deed, and then he leaves. So she is sexually assaulted um, and physically assaulted, and basically she loses the baby, and she's understandably very traumatized um, by the situation that happened to her. So as she's struggling with all of her trauma, her doctor recommends that she find a place somewhere in the country, uh, get away from the big city, have a change, and somewhere peaceful and where she can heal. Now, this is another point that's different from the movie, because in the movie, uh, the doctor that she sees, Dr. George Wagner, named after the director of the 1941 Wolfman film, uh, he in the movie, this doctor runs what he's calling the colony. I have to keep it straight here because in the book in the book is Drago. In the movie, it is the colony, and he's a part of it. He's a werewolf with the rest of them. And in this, he's just there's there's not much to this doctor character. He's just the doctor that Karen sees. He doesn't specifically tell her any place to go. He just makes a recommendation to her, and then her husband Roy goes and finds um, he finds this place in this this little village up north in Northern California called Drago, and he fixes up the place. He heads there early, and then sometime later, Karen rides up with their friend Chris, and yeah, so she gets there, and she's trying to deal with everything that happened to her. So there's a natural kind of like strain on the relationship between Karen and her husband Roy, and um, and she also kind of they kind of meet some of the locals. So there's Anton Gaddick, who is a sheriff. He's not a very friendly guy. Marsha Lura is basically what you know about Marsha from the movie, although different last name. There's a couple that runs a convenience store called the Jolivet's, um, Oriole and Etienne. Um, and then there's a doctor, Dr. Volkman. And those are the primary residents of Drago. Uh, Same as the movie, she hears the sounds of howling outside, um, which kind of freaks her out a little bit. She tries to ask around about it. Everyone kind of plays it off as nothing, and then her dog, her little dog, actually goes missing, and the howling gets more and more intense. The relationship between her and Roy continues to deteriorate until uh, he kind of gets pulled into Marsha's sort of like uh, lustful ways, and that's basically the same from the movie. Although I think it makes more sense in the book with the actual physical violence that occurred to her. So her husband starts to change. He's starting to become more and more agitated, a lot more distant. Of course, he keeps sneaking off to go see Marcia, making excuses to leave. Saying he has to. Oh, I have to go to work, and he kind of leaves her behind in their little cottage. And there's that one night where she looks outside, and there is a werewolf looking right at her. She shoots at it, shoots off its ear. Um, Other strange things happen. She meets this couple who are hiking through the woods, um, and eventually she notices that their van is getting towed. She tries to question uh, Anton Gaddick about it. He's again not very helpful and not a very nice guy, and she really believes that there's something up. She makes a call to the nearest town closest to Drago called Pinion, and she orders a couple of books from the library in Pinion, and um, there's a woman named Jesus Christ, what is her name? I didn't actually write it down. Um, Inez Polk, who is actually looking. We find out that she's been investigating the disappearance of a friend, and she first proposes the idea um, to Karen that uh, there is a werewolf in Drago, and then the two of them try to figure out who it is. They suspect Anton because he has a bandage on his ear. He claims that it's just a boil. Um, yeah, so they're trying to investigate that, and then just naturally things go sideways for Karen with uh, with the whole werewolf thing, as they learn that uh, they were incorrect on their mystery. It's not a single werewolf in Drago; it is the entire community. Um, Inez is killed, um, and the, all the all the wolves kind of go after Karen. Meanwhile, Karen makes a frantic phone call to Chris, uh, hoping to reach him so he can get some silver bullets and bring him up. And uh, yeah, just everything happens. It's a little similar to the movie where you got the all the werewolves in one location. There's a fire. There is one particular thing that I actually really like about this book is that there's a certain point where, because she was under the assumption that there was just one werewolf, uh, she kind of trusts in the local doctor, Dr. Volkman. And it turns out that he's a werewolf, and he transforms, and there's the wolves outside and everything. And just as he's going to make a move on Karen, uh, the werewolf that is Roy jumps through the window and actually saves her, kills the werewolf that was supposed to that was gonna kill her. And then kind of not too long after that, with Chris there with the silver bullets, he's gonna take an aim at the werewolf that is Roy, and Karen stops him from doing it. So I kind of like that, where it's like um, even though things went awfully sideways for both Karen and Roy in the worst possible way, uh, they still kind of like protect each other in a way, and I kind of dig that. I kind of wish that was in the movie with what was it, Bill Neal, uh, the movie Karen's husband, because I really like that moment. Marcia is shot in the head, and the whole town is put up in flames. Karen and Chris flee in their car, and they can hear the howling as they leave. Karen survives. So there's another big difference, is that there is no thing with Karen being bit and transforming on TV. It's actually she lives. Um, so the book itself is a little bit of a slow burn. Okay. Um, and I think if like you are someone who, if you've seen the movie, or even know about the movie, you may kind of struggle with it, because the bulk of it is like this mystery of who is the werewolf in Drago. And for people like me who saw the movie before I even read the books, you already know it's the whole town, it's the whole village. So the book is a very slow burn. There's a lot of stuff about uh, Karen, the trauma that she went through, her deteriorating relationship with her husband, trying to figure out the who is trying to figure out the identity of the werewolf, and yeah, and that's basically. I mean, there's not a lot that happens in it. I really like this book a lot. There's my friend Darren and I have a little bit of differences on the book and the movie. I actually prefer the book. I love the first movie. Don't get me wrong, and I think some of the changes were necessary. Um, but I don't know. There's something about the first. There's something about the first book that I really like. Although I will say that it is the probably out of the three books, it's like the least best. um, so yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed the first book a lot. It's I don't think it's going to impress a lot of people because it is slow, and because anyone familiar with it already knows, um, what the mystery is. So um, I had this all planned out in my head earlier, and like I'm not doing well right now. So now moving on to the sequel, the Howling 2, also known as the Howling 2: The Return. Um, this is a few years later. Uh, so to give you a little bit of information of stuff that's revealed later on in the book, but essentially Karen and Chris were together for a while, both as survivors of Drago, and they both dealt with the horror of Drago in different ways, and it was certainly different for Chris than it was for Karen, because Chris was only really there at the end. And Karen was there the whole time. She was, kind of being, you know, stalked by Marcia, and she lost a lot. She lost her friend, her dog, her husband, um, and so eventually they went their separate ways. So that's a little bit of the catching up with those two characters, but they're not the only returning characters from this particular from the first book. because as it turns out, Marsha Laura is still alive. Now she got shot in the head, um, and Roy found her and nursed her back to health. However, because she was shot with a silver bullet in the head, I can't remember exactly where they say, um, she's left with a streak of silver hair and she can't fully transform anymore. When she tries to transform, she becomes like this monstrosity. And so she's really hell bent on revenge against Karen. Uh, so Karen and Roy, they're being protected by a group of in the book they're described as gypsies. I don't know what the proper terminology is in this PC world, Romani or something like that. But and they don't like the idea of werewolves being there, but they're terrified of them naturally. So they do their bidding, which also includes kind of like basically being spies for them, keeping tabs on Karen and stuff like that. Roy doesn't want to go after Karen at all. He just wants to leave her alone. I don't. It's been a little bit since I read the book. I don't specifically remember if Marcia knew that Roy had actually killed another werewolf to save Karen towards the end of the first book. Um, uh, but basically, he's pussy whipped. Marcia kind of calls the shots with him. So they do track down Karen, living in Washington. She is remarried. She is married to a widower named David Richter, and he has a son, a 6-year-old son, Joey Richter. And she seems happy, but she's still sort of traumatized by Drago. She hasn't told David about the story of Drago. He just knows that something bad happened to her. And eventually, Marcia and Roy do show up, and at first it's like mind games. She's shopping at a mall, and they intentionally have it so she can see Roy, and she tries to like go after him. Then he just disappears. She's very convinced that it was him. Also, she takes care of plants, and someone tampered with all of her plants, killing all of her plants. All these things that she's trying to keep alive. Eventually, Marcia sends Roy as a werewolf to go kill the boy, Joey. However, it gets botched up, and the caretaker for the Richters, Mrs. Jensen, she dies basically saving the boy from the werewolf. At this point, Karen knows that it is Marcia and Roy, and so in order to protect David and Joey, she decides to hit the road, and she goes in search for the only other person who kind of knows who kind of knows where knows of the whole situation with Drago and that werewolves are real and how to stop them. However, he is a bachelor. He's on vacation, and she tracks him down. I think in was it Mexico? It might have been Mexico. It could have been somewhere else. I can't remember. And eventually, because of all of because of the gypsy characters, basically, acting as spies for Marcia and Roy. Again, out of fear, not because they're on their side. They eventually find them, and it just leads to a showdown. And eventually, Roy and Marcia are permanently killed. I think the second book is superior to the first one. There's a lot more going on in it, and um, I like the fact that it's different than the first, where it's like it's no longer like this one location. It is now multiple different locations, and it's not a bunch of werewolves. It's two specific werewolves looking for revenge. I liked the idea that while Marcia survived being shot with a silver bullet, that it has crazy side effects. In particular with her wolf side. Um, so I like that. I think there's some really cool elements of horror in the book. It baffles me that out of the 8 film franchise, none of them adapted the Howling 2. None of them adapted Gary Brandner's Howling 2. Or 3 either, despite what some of the credits say. Out of the 8 films, only 2 of them were adaptations of, of the books, and those 2 were both based on the same book, the first book. So that's just crazy to me. Now the third book is a little different because the third book, The Howling 3 Echoes, has nothing to do with Karen or Chris. Basically, their story is over with the Howling 2. So the Howling 3 kind of offers a different perspective. This is set in the town of Pinion, which is the town mentioned a lot in the first book. That is sort of the closest town to Drago. And essentially, a boy is found out in the woods. He's a little bit feral. There's a couple of dead bodies in the woods, and so you have a sheriff named Gavin Ramsey who's curious about the situation. There's a doctor named Holly Lang who is concerned for the boy and notices his wolf-like things going on. Then there's a doctor named Dr. Wayne Pastory, who is also interested in the boy for his own reasons. And then there's Derek, who is another member of Drago who survived, who got away from the fire. And basically, the boy, Malcolm, is Derek's son. So the story with the Howling 3 Echoes is that basically there's this one boy, he's a werewolf from Drago who escaped the fire. He was lost out in the woods by himself for a long time. He meets a hermit in the woods who takes care of him. And as the hermit is walking Malcolm to Pinion from the woods, 2 drunk hunters accidentally killed the man, the hermit, who was close to Malcolm, and eventually they die. So basically you have the story of this boy, Malcolm, who's kind of being pursued by multiple different factors here. You have Gavin and Holly, who are looking out for Malcolm's well-being. They're the good people. They're the protagonist. You have Dr. Wayne Pastory, who is a son of a bitch, and he's looking for Malcolm for experimentation. And then you have Derek, who's looking for his son to bring him into the pack of what remains from the survivors of Drago. I have to say, the third book is arguably the best of the entire trilogy. I love it a lot. It's actually it's even like the the longest of them all. You see where the other two are pretty thin. But yeah, if I had to choose, I think the third book was probably my favorite of this trilogy. The second book is my second favorite, and then the first book, which I do like, is my least favorite, and that's mainly because it is a little slow at times, and once you already know um, what it is with the werewolf uh, being the idea of everyone being a werewolf, the mystery that it presents uh, just doesn't kind of work. So yeah, I do recommend these books if you do like werewolves. I got this set here, which has the covers that connect. I can't do it. I can't do it. Which I think is pretty cool. Um, and I guess they just put out like new editions. Um, and I don't really care for these covers, but I'll show them. Nope, not that one. Okay, so here's the new issue covers. They just got released this year. There's a lot happening in these. So there's the cover art for the first book. Here's the cover art for the second one, which is I mean it's kind of neat to a certain degree that it's I kind of like the half and half thing because that's very much like Marcia. Um, and then the third, um, yeah, there's just a lot going on with these covers. I don't know if I care for them, but I have all these books on paperback. I also have all the audio versions on Audible, so I can listen to them at work if I want to. Yeah. Oh, here's a picture of the three covers together. I think it's pretty cool. Yeah. So the Howling trilogy um, is a good series of books about werewolves. The Howling 2 and 3 never were adapted into a film somehow, even though those are actually really solid books. I kind of wish that they would get made. If there's whoever owns the rights to the Howling film franchise, get a hold of me. Get a hold of me, goddammit. I'll write this ship. Yeah, so I just wanted to take a little dive into the Howling books. I know I talked a lot more about the first book, gave a lot more details. Try not to spoil too much, but yeah, I really dig them, and I thought I would cover them tonight, and then starting next week, I will begin going through the entire film franchise. That's all I got to say about that. If you're watching this on Facebook, hit the thumbs up, laugh emoji, heart emoji, angry emoji, crying emoji, whatever you want to do. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe if you have not, and leave a comment. Are you interested in reading these books? So now that I talked about the books briefly, I'm going to jump to the comments and go from there. Kathy says, hello, how you doing? Black Rain and Purple Lightning says, hey Seth, I binge watched a lot of your guys' streams I missed last night and this morning. I'm going to watch Werewolf Castle tonight. Really appreciate you. Oh, thank you. That's awesome. Yeah, that's great. Happy that you found us and that you're a part of this. And let me know what you think of Werewolf Castle. I liked it. I mean, it's a B movie. It's a total B movie. I'm not going to say it's great, but I have fun with it. So sue me. My friend Scott Walker says, "Hi Seth, how you doing, Scott?" The werewolf on the pigeon you're talking about looks like a Bigfoot to me. I mean, I guess I could see it. Sure, why not? You like Bigfoot. I like werewolves. Let's see here. The Horror Signal has become my favorite channel. You and Ray are awesome. I really enjoy you guys. I love you guys' suggestions. Very much appreciate that. Definitely. Welcome to the channel. Glad you found it. How long ago did you find this? How long have you been checking out our stuff? Let me know. But glad you're here. Thank you. And glad that there's people out there who dig us. King Matthew III says, "What's up? How are you tonight?" I'm doing pretty good. How are you? If you keep seeing my eyes glance over there, I got the football game on right now. Cowboys and Eagles. I'm not a fan of either team. I'm a Buffalo Bills fan, but I just love football in general, so I'll watch whatever game. I love reading. I have a huge Stephen King collection and another mix of authors that write zombie novels. I need these werewolf books. Yes, yeah, definitely. If you love reading, definitely. I have a huge collection of Stephen King books too. King is one of my favorite authors of all time. But yeah, definitely check out the books. Like if you can't get the paperbacks, or if you prefer, there is the audiobook version through Audible. Those are well done. I have all those as well. But yeah, there's something. Maybe it's just because I'm like a little tiny obsessed with werewolves, just a little bit. Got a werewolf addiction. But I've read and listened to these books a lot, so I should know them pretty damn well. But I was forgetting stuff tonight. I probably should have re-listened to all of them, at least while I'm at work. Yeah. I'm new to the channel. I found your channel the other day, and this is my first stream on this channel. Is it your first stream? I thought you commented the other night when Ray and I were live, but I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you found us, and welcome to the channel, my friend. If you like werewolves, I do this particular show about werewolves. I originally called it the Werewolf Wednesday Show, a title I never really cared for, and excuse me, I was mainly trying to keep it to Wednesdays, but life happens, and so I figured I'll change the title to the Werewolf Weekly, so that way if I'm not available or just don't want to on a Wednesday, I can do it anytime. Ray and I do shows on Tuesdays called Horror Movie Massacre, where it's me and him talking about whatever the hell topic we choose. Those are usually fun discussions. We did have a show on Sundays called Discourse, which consisted of me, Ray, Nate, Nathan Thomas Milliner, and originally there was a couple other guys too, Jared and Keith, but life happens, and the band's not together anymore. Just busy schedules and just whatever. But yeah, I'm glad that you're here, and feel free to check out more of our stuff, and I hope you stick around, man. If a Bigfoot got bitten by a werewolf, would it become a werewolf or no? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. It would be a weresquatch. There we go. We'll call it a weresquatch. I've been watching several months. I literally binge watched your guys' live streams all the way back through last year. My watch history is all horrific now. Oh, that's great. That's awesome. I'm glad like you like our stuff that much. That's awesome. Glad that you're here, pal. I don't know if you're a dude or a dudette, but glad that you're here. I mean, I could say pal to chicks too, right? I don't know. Just rambling. Sorry, I think I did comment on the stream the other night. I just got a little confused because I recently ended up in the hospital having major surgery. Oh man, sorry to hear that. Hope all is well. Yeah, that's not a problem. Yeah, getting a little confused there. Uh, Again, the whole point. Glad that you're here. Glad that you're here. Um, what do you, Ray, mean yesterday? Scream shouldn't watch those films on Halloween. Trish and I have a plan for Halloween. We're going off the Conjuring films and the Scream films. Well, I mean, it was of Ray's personal opinion that when he thinks of Scream, he's a huge Scream fan. Me and him both love the Scream franchise. Um, but they just don't give off like a Halloween vibe. I think he's looking for films that kind of have, uh, especially around this particular year, because we watch horror all year round, and there's lots of horror that's not in October. Um, but he Scream just doesn't give off like a Halloween vibe to him. Um, as far as me, uh, maybe, but I don't like. I have specific types of movies I like watching around this time of year. Obviously, some of the Halloween films we get with John Carpenter's Night and Living Dead, stuff like that. But yeah, uh, and so yeah, definitely watch all the Halloweens like you want to do. The Conjuring films, so those are films I don't like at all. Um, I think they're slightly overrated, but people love them. I think Ray and Nate love them, and lots of people love them. I'm just like in the minority, I guess, of people who do not care for The Conjuring and think that they're overrated. But then again, who am I? I'm the guy who likes shitty werewolf films. So it's not. I'm not the be all end all on opinions. I probably shouldn't even speak my opinions out loud because they're terrible. Uh, we are returning to Stu's house in Scream 7. Cool. I think I saw a rumor about that recently. How many people have you seen dressed up as Ghostface on Halloween? Oh yeah, quite a bit. I mean, you're right about that. And actually, it was funny. Back in I think '97. Back in '97, I went as Ghostface, and I went to some weird town with like a friend where like everyone's like, "Oh, that's a cool mask." What's that from? And I'm like, Scream. They're like, "What's Scream?" I'm like, oh, how could you not hear about it? But yeah, Trish and I am going to watch the Scream movies, and uh, nice. Yeah, I mean, have fun. Sounds like a good time. Yeah, so I just finished all the comments. I'll stick around for a little bit longer if anyone else has anything else to say, or any questions to ask. And then I'll take off for the night. But again, circling back to the topic at hand, uh, the Howling trilogy from Gary Brandner, the Howling 2, The Return, Howling 3, Echoes, and uh, I think they're very good books in my opinion. Uh, and I think if you do decide to give them a chance, bear with the first book, okay? Because 2 and 3 are the ones that are really worth getting to. The first book, again, I really enjoy it. I love that book. But books 2 and 3 are the better books in the series. And and they have not been adapted. So you haven't seen, like, if you've seen every single Howling film, you haven't seen the stories from the second, third books, because the only ones that even remotely kind of stick to the books is the Joe Dante film and the Howling 4, the original Nightmare. So yeah, um, good books. Check them out. I was 6 years old when I first saw the original Scream in '98 on video. I had to watch it with my oldest sister because my mom said I had to, because I was younger. Yeah. Trying to remember. Let's see. Scream came out in '96, right? So I was 13. Yeah, I think I was 13 in when the first one came out. And I remember because my dad worked at the local movie theater as a projectionist, and I was waiting. Uh, I was up in the projection booth, and I was waiting for another movie to start. I think it was some Jim Carrey movie. And my dad told me, he told me I should check out Scream. So as I'm waiting for this other movie, I'm, up in the projection booth, and I'm looking through the window, and I'm starting to watch the movie, and it's like the opening scene with Drew Barrymore, and it's right at that moment where she kind of like pokes her head up outside, and Ghostface turns around. At that exact moment, my dad was right behind me, and I didn't know it, and he went like this, and I fucking jumped. um, I'm pretty sure that's where I get my prankster mentality from. Is my dad. Alrighty. Well, thank you for everyone who commented tonight, who's uh, checking us out. Um, so Scott, King Matthew, Black Rain and Purple Lightning, um, and Kathy. Thank you all for commenting. Um, man, sometimes I wish like I would do these shows earlier in the day. Of course, I can't because I work, but because earlier I had everything well thought out in my head, well thought out about how I'm going to describe the first book and all that. And then once I go live, it just it leaves my memory, and then I'm just like stumbling around. Um, and it's been a little bit since I've done one of these solo shows about werewolves. Um, so yeah. Oh, and so this show is changing from the Werewolf Wednesday show to the Werewolf Weekly Show. Um, Ray made me up a logo, and I really like it. It's this guy here. That is the official logo for the Werewolf Weekly Show. Hoping that we're going to have a new intro cut together. Hoping to put this image on shirts, because we do have a merch store where you can get the Horror Syndicate t-shirts, coffee mugs, whatever. And hopefully the Werewolf Weekly one will be there. And as soon as Ray tells me that there's a Werewolf Weekly shirt, I'm buying a couple. And I'm going to promote the hell out of it. I hope you guys don't mind. So yeah, thank you for tuning in to the new Werewolf Weekly Show. Not much different. It's I'm going to be adding some more new stuff to this show to try to make it a little bit better. I'm going to try to do this beginning in 2026. I'm not going to change so much the format now, but beginning in 2026, I'm going to have some new stuff for this particular show, and hopefully, um, with one thing I'm thinking about doing, hopefully I'll be a little bit more prepared for when I do go live, and so I'm less, you know, stumbling around for my words and all that happy horse crap. So yeah, next week I will be covering the original Howling film, loose adaptation of Gary Brandner's book, but it's one of the all-time classic werewolf films of all time. So I'm really looking forward to that. And each week after that, I'm going through every single werewolf or every single Howling film in order. So I'm going to be covering some of the extremely terrible ones, like Part 7, New Moon Line Dancing. But thank you so much for tuning in. Join me next week, and got a couple more comments. So much fun. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. I'm giving up on the Jurassic Park franchise for a while because Jurassic Park. Yeah, I never saw Rebirth. The Jurassic World films I just didn't like at all. Not even the first. So like I liked the concept of like the park being open, but there's something about that film that just felt extremely generic. And then the two after that were just awful. So like I have no interest anymore. Like I was obsessed with Jurassic Park when the first one came out, and I love the Lost World Jurassic Park, and I actually do like Jurassic Park 3. It's just these new ones, these Jurassic World films, they're just not for me, you know? Because Scream 7 is coming up next year. I'm concentrating on the Scream franchise now. Yeah, I mean, and it's pretty exciting. I think I'll probably once we get like a trailer for Scream 7, it's probably going to just like set me into this mode of binging the whole franchise again because I'm that excitable. But hey, I'm with you, man, and I'm looking forward to Scream 7 as well. All right, have a good night.